Nothing has to be easy. A motivational storyline. In a small town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests lived a young woman named Emily. She was known for her kind heart, gentle spirit, and a smile that could brighten the darkest of days. However, beneath her cheerful exterior, Emily carried a deep-seated frustration that gnawed at her soul. She believed that life was supposed to be easy, that happiness, success, and love should come naturally. But the more she lived, the more she realized that nothing in her life seemed to follow that path. Emily grew up in a modest home, the daughter of hardworking parents who did their best to provide for her. Her mother always told her, "Emily, you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it." But as she grew older, Emily began to question this. She worked hard in school, but her grades were only average. She pursued her passions, but the recognition she sought was elusive. And in relationships, she gave her all, only to be met with heartbreak. One day, after a particularly difficult week at her job, Emily decided to take a walk in the forest to clear her mind. As she wandered through the familiar paths, she stumbled upon an old man sitting on a bench, carving something from a piece of wood. His hands were weathered, and his face bore the marks of a life lived fully. Curious, Emily approached him. "Hello," she said softly. "What are you making?" The old man looked up, his eyes twinkling with a wisdom that came from years of experience. "I'm carving a figure of a bird," he replied, holding up the small, unfinished wooden shape. "It's beautiful," Emily remarked, though the figure was still rough and lacked detail. The old man chuckled. "It will be, but it takes time and patience. This piece of wood was once a part of a tree, strong and sturdy. But to make it into something beautiful, I must first cut, sand, and shape it. It doesn't come easy, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it." Emily pondered his words. "But why go through so much effort? Wouldn't it be easier to buy a bird figure from a store?" The old man smiled. "Perhaps, but the value lies not in having the bird, but in the process of creating it. Each stroke of my knife, each pass of the sandpaper brings me closer to something meaningful. It's not supposed to be easy, my dear. Nothing truly worth having ever is." The simplicity of his words struck a chord with Emily. She realized that she had been living her life with the expectation that things should come easily, and when they didn't, she felt disheartened. The old man's perspective was a revelation. Perhaps the challenges she faced were not obstacles, but opportunities to create something meaningful, just as he was doing with the piece of wood. Over the next few weeks, Emily began to approach her life differently. She stopped looking for shortcuts and instead embraced the process, no matter how difficult it seemed. At work, she took on challenging projects that forced her to learn and grow. Instead of being discouraged by her initial failures, she saw them as steps toward improvement. In her personal life, Emily began to nurture her relationships with patience and understanding. When conflicts arose, she no longer sought to avoid them, but faced them head-on, knowing that resolving them would lead to stronger, more genuine connections. She also started to pursue her passions, not for the recognition she might receive, but for the joy they brought her in the moment. One evening, as Emily was working on a painting, she found herself lost in the rhythm of the brushstrokes. The colors blended on the canvas in ways she hadn't anticipated, creating a depth and vibrancy that she had never achieved before. It was far from perfect, but it was hers. Every stroke, every color was a testament to her journey. She realized that the beauty of her work came not from a natural talent, but from her willingness to struggle, to learn, and to persist despite the challenges. A few months later, Emily returned to the forest and found the old man sitting on the same bench, now holding a beautifully detailed wooden bird in his hands. "Hello again," she greeted him. "Your bird is incredible." The old man looked at her with a gentle smile. "Thank you, my dear. It took a lot of time and effort, but I believe it was worth it." Emily nodded, understanding now what he meant. "I've learned that nothing has to be easy to be worth it. The struggle, the effort, that's where the true value lies." The old man's eyes sparkled with approval. "You've discovered one of life's great truths. Remember, it's not about the destination, but the journey. It's about who you become along the way." As Emily walked away, she felt a sense of peace that she had never known before. She knew that life would continue to present her with challenges, but now Instead of dreading them, she welcomed them as opportunities to grow. She understood that nothing had to be easy, and that was perfectly okay. Because in the end, the most beautiful and meaningful things in life are those we work hard for, those we earn through persistence, and those we create with our own hands and hearts.